What's up? Black men will lose racial pride through believing in Christianity or Islam. Now, when we look at this, we have to understand that we have to really understand the history behind Islam, the history behind Christianity, and even me being a person who used to be like a really strong type of Christian, really like believing and reading my Bible and praying and having faith and all this type of stuff, I understand that a lot of the times it gets you away from the reality that you are a black man, that you are a black person. And we oftentimes see the people who oppress us and the people who do the most harm to us. They want us to ignore race. They want us to ignore them being racist, right? So they don't want us to see race and see racism. They want us to be blind to it, or they want to put out an impression that it's not happening, right? And that's the thing that I started to understand when it came to Christianity, is that I believed in this, and these things, like, this was all a part of me breaking away from Christianity, because I understood that the deeper I dove into black history, the more I could see a lot of Christianity. And I was like, I had to sit with that for a while, because that emotionalism within Christianity and that spiritualism, you know, that kind of takes a toll over your ability to reason, your common sense, your basic logic. And I used to wrestle with that, but once I really let the logic be the determining factor if I was going to believe in this or not, that's when I understand I had to let it go, because logically it doesn't line up. On every aspect, logically, it won't line up, right? We have to start coming up with stuff out of our head for it to make sense. We have to say, God works in mysterious ways. We have to say, God does stuff that I don't understand, and that's why I don't understand it, and He might do, so I'm gonna keep believing, right? We have to continue to justify the logic and the reasonability not being there. We have to continue to justify that. And as I got older and I started learning more about Black history, I understood that I couldn't really love being a Black person if I was a Christian. I just had to love being a person, right? But on the other side, the white Christian, they could love being a white person. They could love what their race did for them, right? They can love everything about their race and be a Christian, because, come on now, it goes hand in hand. They did a lot with the Bible. The King James version of the Bible, yeah, that's from Europe. So they have a lot more stake in why they believe in it, because really they believe in their own version of Christianity. You know, they think Jesus was white. You get what I mean? And when I look at that, I understand that so much of Christianity is ingrained in what Europeans created, what Europeans made. It's really a part of European culture. It is European culture, right? And when I understood that, and I understood that that's European culture, that's not Black culture. Vice versa, same thing with Islam. That's Arab culture, that's not Black culture. That's a black religion. I mean, that's an Arab religion. That's not a black religion. That's a white religion. That's not a black religion, right? And so it's in our lack of having our own identity and having our own religion, you know, um, that is what causes us to have so many problems breaking away from these religions, because we don't have our own. And on top of that, the culture that we could have had was stripped, and it was torn away, and it was destroyed, and it was broken from us, right? And that's the real sad thing, because Black Americans in America, we got European names, we speak a European language. A lot of us are Christians, right? So much of who we are is European, and we're Black people, right? So that's the thing that we really have to open our eyes and be like, Black people need to have their own religion. Black people need to have their own culture. Black people need to have their own language eventually, right? Because I think that's something that's not near in the near future going to happen. But that's something that, you know, we have to go towards a place where we're disconnected from from Europeans, right? And when we look at this, bro, because a lot of people will say, like the one famous thing people like to say, well, Christianity was in Africa before it was in Europe. But most of how Africa, other than probably Ethiopia or Egypt, most of how Africa got Christianity was through Europeans, was through colonization, was through the Europeans formed a version of the Bible, formed version of Christianity, formed culture of Christianity, right? So when we look at that, that's when we can start to see that, okay, we got this religion from the person who enslaved us. We got this religion from the person who colonized and conquered us. We didn't get it from out the sky. We got it from our enemy. You get what I'm saying? We got it from our enemy. And when I look at that, it's like it makes too much sense to continue to believe the way I was believing, think the way I was thinking, right? And when I could disconnect from that, I'm like, Black people got to have their own stuff. Black people got to love themselves. Black people got to have a religion that's ingrained with who they are, right? And a lot of what I learned this stuff from is from people who were smarter than me and have, a lot more knowledge than me. And so when I look at that, bro, it's like it makes so much sense, and it's like it's impossible for me to go back to being like a Christian and believing in God and thinking that, we're about to go to hell one day or we're going to heaven one day. No. Your life right here and right now is the important thing. It's what you do while you're alive. That's the most important thing. That's your heaven. That's your hell. It's whatever you do with your life, right? And once you die, you're gone. You don't exist no more. You know, that's the mentality I have around it, because that's what drives me to try to do as much as I can while I'm here, because I know that I have a time limit. You get what I'm saying? I'm not going to be here forever. I'm going to be dead one day, right? So that's the thing we have to understand, is that we got to have a culture that that not breeds. We have to have a culture that is a black man. We have to have culture. We have to have a religion that is of a black man. We have to have a way of life that speaks black people, right? Too many times we have religions that they don't really mesh with black people, and we look on either side, Christianity or Islam, they don't connect with black people. Black people cling to it because we don't have anything else, but it don't match with black people. It doesn't match with who we are, right? So we have to understand that, we get our religion from our enemies, we get our culture from our enemies, right? And that's not where we want to be. So we have to break away from that. And I think that's going to be something that a lot of people not going to break away from that, because I've been there. A lot of black people gonna say, "Man, God real, and you gotta believe in Jesus coming back, and Hebrew 3 and 4 and 2, and all this, scriptures and all this type of stuff, right?" And when I mean Christians, I'm talking about the Hebrew Israelites too, because there's no way y'all think y'all different, but y'all read the same Bible, So that's pretty much all I got to say, man. Peace out.